One of these three women is called warden by some of the toughest criminals in the country. Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Tamara Holden.
Number two.
My name is Tamara Holden.
Number three.
My name is Tamara Holden.
Only one of these people is the real Tamara Holden and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now let's meet our panel. Actor and raconteur, Orson Bean. Co-star of Head of the Class, Christine Hodge. Film and television producer, David Niven Jr. And to tell the truth's very own, Kitty Carlisle. Here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Lynn Swann.
Thank you. Everyone's dressed extremely well this morning.
Yes.
Tuxedos and gowns.
Oh, don't you look handsome?
Let's get right to the story presented by our first team of challengers, all three of whom claim to be Tamara Holden. And this is her story. Please, read along with me. I, Tamara Holden, am the first woman to become warden of a men's maximum security prison in Utah. I'm in charge of over 1,700 of the toughest murderers, rapists, burglars, and drug dealers in the state. Despite how wardens are portrayed in the movies, I see my #1 responsibility as providing a safe, secure, escape-proof facility. Every week, I personally inspect the prison grounds to check security and listen to the inmates' complaints. I've also noticed that there's an improvement in the inmates' demeanor when a woman is around. They clean up better and are better behaved. But naturally, there are prisoners who will never like me. To them, I'm still a dirty word. The warden. Signed, Tamara Holden. We'll find out more about this career behind bars right after this. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. All right, panel. All three of these people claim to be Tamara Holden, warden of a men's maximum security prison in Utah. Kitty, we'll start the questioning with you.
Thank you. Number one, how did you get to have this exalted position?
I was selected by the upper-level administration.
And number two, what had you been before you were a warden?
I was a parole officer.
And number three, what are the greatest complaints that the inmates have?
About their own personal property and food.
Number two, what do they object to in the food?
Just the way it is, what they're served.
Anything.
Anything.
And number one, why personal property?
Thank you, Kitty. You know, football players and prisoners are alike. They always complain about food. David.
I don't know anything about football or prisons. Anyway, now, number one, why is it then that there are prisoners who you say will never like you?
Because I have the assignment of keeping them locked up.
Number two, it says you also want to have an escape-proof facility. How sure are you that yours is really escape-proof?
I'm very sure that it is.
Who tells you that?
They don't escape.
All right. Number three, how many people have escaped from your prison before you took this job?
Do you mean successfully?
Well, just let's say with escape, and then even if you caught them again, that doesn't really matter.
About 7.
And how did they get out?
One time in a truck, put on different uniforms.
All right. Number two, back to you.
Thank you, David. Now you know how they got out in case you get in.
No.
Christine.
Number three, what's the biggest deterrent that keeps them from escaping? What are they afraid of most?
We have a double fence around, and it has razor wire. It's pretty awesome.
All right. Number two, you said that you were the first. Have there been any other women after you to become wardens?
Not that I know of.
Number one, are there many women wardens of women prisons? Is that common?
It's more common than women of men's prisons.
Number three, what ranks did you have to climb to get this?
I was a parole officer and worked at several women's prisons. Just moved up the ranks.
Okay.
Thank you. Orson.
Number two, can you really feel like that you have a calming influence by dint of the fact that you are a woman when you walk in among all those cons?
Yes, I do.
That makes sense. I can believe that. Number one, how rough are the roughest guys you have? Is there any other prison in Utah that has even rougher guys, or you got the roughest?
No, I have the roughest.
Number three, there was a movie, Robert Redford Brubaker. Is that about your prison? It seems to me that was in Utah. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely correct. There's something that's a similarity that we had one fella that they wrote a story about and that's quite well known throughout the country.
Well, number two, there was one where they dug up a lot of
Sorry, Orson.
formerly living prisoners.
Panel, it's time for you to vote for either number one, number two, or number three. Our team of challengers will receive $500 for each incorrect vote, and there's a guarantee of $1,000. If the panelists fool completely, our team of challengers will receive $3,000. So we begin the balloting with you, Kitty.
Well, the number two looked very motherly, and I think she would have a calming influence on dangerous prisoners. Number two looked as if she would be very stern and very businesslike about running a prison. But when number three talked about the escapees, I think she used sort of professional jargon. So I voted for number three.
Oh, number three, you have a two out there.
Oh, well, I'm at number three. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Well, does it count?
We'll let you slip this way.
I don't, what do you want?
Slip this one time, that's it. Yes, three
All right.
counts.
Okay.
You're the first one, so everyone is copying you. No.
No.
David.
Well, when number two said she was just a parole officer, that didn't seem to be quite enough. And number one seemed very sort of quiet and demure, and I don't really see her manhandling these criminals. So I think number three is the correct one.
All right. Christine?
Uh-oh, well, I was very torn between number one and number three. I thought number one was very stern and could definitely manhandle these prisoners. But number three seemed to really know what she was talking about. I like that she said successfully. She was very concerned about those escapees.
Oh, 3 for 3. Orson, is it a clean sweep or?
No, I think number three will play number one when they make the movie.
Okay. Well, with the votes all in, our distinguished panel here has placed one vote in front of number one, no votes for number two, although she is very motherly in her appearance, and number three gets the consensus vote with 3 votes. Now it's time to find out who the real warden is. Will the real Tamara Holden please stand up? Orson! The casting director for your new movie. In Utah, is it the prison heavily populated? We hear so much about the overcrowding of prisons.
It has been until just recently, and we opened a new prison in central Utah. So right now we have some beds, but they won't last long.
Yeah, but Utah's a pretty quiet and calm. It has a reputation for being kind of a quiet, calm state, not that much crime.
Well, we have our fair share of crime, and we have to do something with those that we convict. So we have to have a place to put them, just like every other system.
Okay. Let's find out who your imposters are. Number 2, your name and what do you do?
I'm Kay Malloy, and I collect social science research data for the University of Chicago.
Wonderful. Number 3, your name and what do you do?
My name is Candace Swimmer, and I sell a home security system.
Sell it to a few prisoners when they come out.
Yes.
Listen, there were 3 incorrect votes, and at $500 apiece, your team will receive $1,500. You did a terrific job, and I'd like to thank you all for being here and playing on To Tell the Truth. We'll be back with the world's youngest radio disc jockey right after this. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. Let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Ricky Rocco.
Number 2.
My name is Ricky Rocco.
Number 3.
My name is Ricky Rocco.
Panel, it's up to you to locate the real Ricky Rocco, and here is his story. Please, read along with me. I, Ricky Rocco, am the youngest radio disc jockey in the world. In the morning, instead of going to school, I head for the most popular radio station in my city. When I get to the studio, I broadcast the Morning Zoo show from 8 to 9 a.m. Commuters in our town love our show. We're number 1 in the ratings. I introduce songs, give the time and the weather, and talk to our listeners on the phone. I've met some famous rock singers such as Belinda Carlisle, Tiffany, and superstar John Bon Jovi. I've been on a lot of big TV shows, but I'm going to stick with what I do best, radio. Signed, Ricky Rocco. Orson, it's rock and roll time. Let's go.
With Ricky Rocco. I think this is wonderful. 8 to 9 is one of the big money-making hours of the day. Number 3, how did you get such a job?
Well, one day when I was at a radio station, I made a fake DJ tape to listen into the car. While I was doing that, the general manager of the radio station walked in, saw me, and thought it would be a great gimmick for me to be the world's youngest disc jockey.
I think that's too much. Number 1, how long you been doing this gig?
For 4 years.
4 years? My God, you must have been quite young when you started. Number 2, did you ever see the movie Pump Up the Volume?
Do
you know which movie it is?
Yes, I do, but I've never seen it.
It's a great movie, Christian Slater. It's about a kid, you know, about your age. Well, he's a little older. Number 2.
Thank you, Orson.
No, I'd like to hear the plot of that film, Orson.
Christine.
Number 2, had you always wanted to be in radio?
Yes, I have. I've been wanting to be a radio DJ since I was 2 years old,
Oh, that's great. Okay, and number 1, what kind of music does your station play most?
Pop rock.
All right. And number 3, do you have what's probably the most popular program for the station?
For the station, well, I would say it's the Morning Drive, the Morning Zoo show, and my show is very highly populated.
Oh, that's great. It's highly populated.
Highly populated. Probably meant that it's very popular.
No, I know.
It's a new lingo in town. David.
Well, I think this is a wonderful way of not having to go to school. I wish I'd thought of it when I was your age. How do you manage, number 1, not to go to school between 8 and 9?
Well, I only tape the show once a week.
All right. Number 2, where do you want to go from here?
I want to be a famous DJ.
All right. Number 3, it says here you've also been on a lot of big TV shows.
Right.
Like what?
I've been on Good Morning America and Regis and Kathy Lee.
All right. Number 1, what does Morning Zoo mean?
Well, there's a bunch of guys in the morning that are just crazy, so that's why I call it the Morning Zoo.
Okay. And number 2,
Thank you, David. Animals on radio. Kitty.
And number 2 said he wanted to be a DJ since he was 2 years old. How long have you wanted to be a DJ?
Since I was around 6, I just liked listening to the radio.
And you like looking at radio?
Yeah.
Number 3, how did you get to be around the radio station? Is your father in radio?
Well, he used to be, but before I was born, he kind of stopped.
I see. And number 2, where do you do this?
I do it in Portland, Oregon.
And number 1, do you catch up on that hour you lose at school?
Yeah, whatever I don't do, I bring home.
And number 2, how are your grades?
Thank you very much. Panel, your time is up. Time for you to cast a ballot for one of these DJs, either number 1, number 2, or number 3. Orson, you're into rock and roll. What's your vote?
I certainly am. Mozart, all those fellas. I voted for number 2. It could have been any of them, but I just have it could be number 1, but I'm just going with a hunch for number 2.
Okay, Christine?
Well, there was lots of reasons, but I like the way you said Ricky Rocco. I think was probably did it for me.
Get that volume, that radio volume. David?
Well, I also voted for number 1 because he's the only one that didn't have his hair slicked back like the other 2. And he was very good on the reasons how he dodged school.
Very good. Kitty?
Well, I really wanted to vote for number 3, and I think he's right. A zoo show is highly populated, and number 1 bothered me a little bit, but I still voted for number 1.
All right. Well, number 1, you have 3 votes. Number 2, you have 1 vote, and number 3, I'm sorry, you didn't get a single vote. Well, panel, it's time to find out who the real radio star is. Will the real Ricky Rocco please stand up? Number 3. He got a clean sweep. Ricky, Ricky is not your real name. That's your radio name, correct?
No, it's not.
Okay. What do the other kids in school think about you being on the radio?
Well, they take advantage of it. Like, they ask me for free concert tickets, and they'll do that sort of thing.
Well, they're smart kids. Okay, let's meet your imposters. Number 2, what's your name, and where are you in school at?
My name is Jack Shimko, and I go to school at Newport Heights, and I like to play football and skateboard.
Terrific. Number 1, what is your name? What school do you go to? Or if you have a job, too, you can say that.
My name is Kevin Dees, and I go to Campbell Hall.
Kevin Dees? You got 3... Is your father, by chance, Rick Dees?
Yeah.
The famous DJ? Is he here?
Yeah.
Rick, where are you? Come on out! Oh.
No, I'm Ricky Rocco now. How you doing?
Well, obviously your son knows a lot about radio because he fooled our panel. He did a very good job. Have you listened to Ricky? What do you think about his talent?
I think Ricky is unbelievable. He's got that Ozzie Nelson hairline. And if he plays his cards right, someday he'll be able to afford Kitty Carlisle's jewelry.
Well,
the guy's great. What a voice.
Well, that's terrific. A commendation from one of the world's best DJs on radio today. Listen, you stumped our panel completely. Your team is going to get $3,000. Thank you all very much. Good luck to you. Thank you for playing on To Tell the Truth. Oh, we do have a piece of tape of Ricky Rocco in the Morning Zoo, so let's take a look at it, okay?
Rocco! Z100.
More music, Z100. Hey, mamas, papas, brothers, sisters, I'm man playing boy, toy, boss, lots, socks, I'm rocking, I'm rolling, I'm reeling. Hey, I am feeling the music that you want to hear. Look at me, don't shed tears. Stay right back, play. You're in rock, your soul, get down, get soul, mama.
That's terrific. We'll be back to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience right after this. Whoa! On To Tell the Truth, it's time to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience. So, Burton, who do you have for us today?
Well, Lynn, today from Los Angeles, California, I'd like you to meet Sheila Panganaban.
Welcome, Sheila.
Hi, how are you?
It's time to play one-on-one. I want you to meet a woman with 2 stories. Her name is Carolyn Shoemaker. Carolyn, welcome. Now, Sheila, Carolyn is going to tell you 2 stories, one of which is the truth. And if you can spot that true story, you'll win $500. So listen carefully. Carolyn, what's your first story?
I've been engaged for 40 years. Today, I'm getting married on To Tell the Truth.
Now, that may or may not be the truth, so listen to Carolyn's second story.
I'm an amateur astronomer. I've discovered 18 comets, and they're all named for me.
Panel, to help Sheila win $500, one question about each story. Kitty, we'll start with you. The engagement.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm thrilled. I love weddings. What made up your mind?
The desire to take a honeymoon.
David?
Oh, staying with that, why did it take you so long to make up your mind?
There wasn't any need to rush.
Christine?
How did this man propose to you 40 years ago?
He asked me behind the barn.
I'll leave that one alone. Orson?
Behind the barn. Did it take you this long to decide if you really liked the guy or what?
Oh, no, but it was very comfortable being engaged to him. We had a good time.
Well,
Okay, Sheila, you've heard the first story. All right, now let's go to story number 2, the comets. Kitty?
Miss Shoemaker, what is a quark?
I don't know.
David?
All right. What type of telescope do you use?
I use a camera.
Christine?
Powerful zoom lens.
Definitely.
How are all 18 named for you?
It's a common way to name comets. It's decided by an international committee.
Orson?
Are they called Comet Carolyn or Comet Shoemaker?
They're called Comet Shoemaker and anything else that goes with them in the name of discoverer.
Damn Comet Shoemaker?
All right, Sheila, you've heard both stories. Now it's time to decide, is Carolyn engaged and about to get married today, or has she discovered comets?
Well, I think she might be engaged and about to be married today because it seemed more believable. I'm not sure.
And we're dressed for it, okay? Carolyn, what is your true story?
To tell the truth, I discovered the comets.
sorry, Sheila, but we do have a lovely gift for you. And Carolyn, for you, we have $1,000 for stumping Sheila. That's terrific. We also have a picture of a comet that you discovered. Would you look at the picture and talk about it for us, please?
This was a very special comet. It's periodic comet Shoemaker 3. And it was discovered somewhere around 1985.
That is absolutely terrific. Thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on winning money and being here on To Tell the Truth.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. Once again, we thank you for joining us here on To Tell the Truth. We'll see you next time. So long, everyone.
GFM.